Hi, I'm Malini. Now everybody calls me Miss Malini, and I'm here to tell my story. First of all, thank you for having me. I was listening to all the inspiring speakers before me, and it's very humbling to be standing here and telling you mine. So I was born in Allahabad, like Amitabh Bachchan, who I just met recently, so the circle has come full circle. And I remember my first memory when I was 1 year old was living, there was all these old houses and they would have these 2 levels and it wasn't really a floor, it was like bamboo, right? And to cross over, you could fall. I mean, at my age, you would worry that you'd fall through. So it took me about an hour and a half to get across this and I was so proud of myself in that age, I remember. And I had this cousin who was like really bratty and 3, and as soon as I got to the other end, he bit my cheek so hard that I was like, I learned a lesson right then. I was like, okay, so even if you're doing something, maybe sometimes expect the unexpected. A few weeks after that, we left the country. And for the longest time, I thought that was the reason why. But actually, it turned out my father was a diplomat, and that meant I got to travel the world. Every 3 years we would move. And if you're wondering why I have a funny accent, is because I grew up in Lebanon, Germany, Greece, Ivory Coast, Bulgaria. We moved every 3 years. And I would only come back for a few years in between. So 0 to 17 was there. And I was really into like theater and plays. But I was this really dorky little Indian kid, as you would imagine. And I had these gold glasses with the gold rim on top because my parents are Marwari and those were the cheapest. So it was kind of like, that's how I grew up. And when I came back, I was like, okay, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to be the cool kid. So I got contact lenses and I was very excited about that. And then I joined the British school and suddenly everyone spelt everything with an S instead of a Z. So I got really bad grades. And then I went to an all-girls college, which was a huge shock after you go to school all over the world. And as a result, I started doing more dance and theater because that's where I felt there were people I would get along with better. And I joined a dance troupe called Ronica Jacob and the Planets. And I became a backup dancer for Sukhbir for 6 years. The ho 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 video? Yeah, I'm in it. And I used to, I really loved doing it. And I think looking back, I really have to thank my parents because I used to get really annoyed when I was little. People would come over and they're like, beta naach ke dikhao. I was one of those kids. Or, they would film a school play and anyone would come over and they're like, do you want to see Malini in the play? Like, here's the video. I'd be like, what are you doing, Mom? But then I realized that is probably why I was so confident and encouraged to do what I do. I remember another funny story when I was dancing. My mom would always sit in the front row with her video camera, the one that took VHS tapes. I'm that old. And I'd be on stage dancing and she would film, but she would only film me. So everybody else's heads would get cut off and she was like, Meri beti. And it was really embarrassing at the time. But I love that she's like that. So they always let me do whatever I want. And then at some point, she sort of jokingly said, it's been 6 years, do you want to get a real job? So I joined a .com. It was called myusha.com in Delhi, and it was the first of its kind portal, city portal that wrote stories. And I went in and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a copywriter. And then one day, just on a whim, I visited some friends in Bombay, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I got here, I got into a taxi and it was so easy, it was so cheap. And there was neon lights and the city was buzzing and there was so much energy and I loved it. And looking back, that's why I moved here, because of the taxis and the neon lights. And I just felt this energy and I remember thinking I need to live in Bombay, and I was living in Delhi for 6 years at the time. And then when I was 21, I decided I'm going to be a rebel and I'm going to run away from home. And I got as far as the Machan coffee shop because then I was too scared to go too much further. And then one day I spoke to my parents and I said, I really want to move, and I moved to Bombay. And I guess my story starts then, like any good Bollywood movie really, with a pigeon. So I moved to Bombay with 2 suitcases. I knew one person. I had 40,000 rupees from dancing that I'd saved, which is actually not a lot of money in Bombay, as you know from housing.com. So I moved here, and I lived in a house with a pigeon, believe it or not. 6 girls and a pigeon. My rent at the time was 625 rupees, so you can only just imagine what the house was like. And there was a pigeon that would be in the room, in the house, and every night when everyone would go to sleep, this pigeon would fly around, and I would be so petrified that it's going to hit the ceiling fan and I'll be covered in pigeon blood. So I would sleep like this every night. And I think part of my motivation is like, I have to get out of here. I just can't live like this. So I joined mtvindia.com. I got a job being a copywriter. And my business card said, channel head, romance, and sexuality. And my mom was like, what are you doing in Bombay? She goes, please come back. And then, the first radio stations had just opened, and I decided to go try out. And I got a job at Win 94.6, doing a radio show, and then Go 92.5. Raise your hand if you heard this station at some point. A few. Jaggu and Tarana are doing radio in Dubai now, by the way. So then I did radio, and I really loved it. I did that for 8 years. And while I was doing that, I started writing a column in Midday called Malini's Mumbai. And I used to write about all the parties that would go on or things that I saw. But I always felt that there wasn't enough space to write my column, or they would edit it, and edit it really badly. They would just cut out sentences. So I thought I should find a new place to write it. And one day, I was on vacation with some friends in Dubai, and a friend of mine said, why don't you start a blog? And I was like, what's a blog? And he was like, it's this thing on the internet, you write like a diary, and you just put whatever you want up, pictures and, notes. And I was like, but who reads it? And he said, don't worry about that, just start it. So I was like, okay, so I started writing. And I remember my first blog was, I think, about Saif Ali Khan's ex-wife, Rosa, who was posing at Olive with a piece of cheese, and my title was so cheesy, and I thought that was so cool. And it was so bizarre because within a few hours, I got like a comment on it. And I was like, out of all the billions of web pages, someone has chosen to come and read this page. And the thing that I loved the most about the radio was the connect you would make. And someone told me this at the radio station, that don't do a hello Mumbai and talk to everyone. Radio is a very personal experience. So people are listening to you as if you're their friend. And that's the connection we'd have. So if I went out somewhere and somebody said, what do you do? And they'd never seen me on the radio, obviously. I'd say, I'm a radio jockey. And they're like, oh, you're that Malini. And then crazily enough, I had given up radio for a while, and I was out at Ghetto, I think. And somebody said, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I've just started writing a blog. They're like, you're that Malini. And I was like, yes, that's amazing. It feels like this is now something I really want to do. So basically, I started writing the blog for fun, absolutely for fun. And I was always one of those people who did multiple jobs. So I used to work at MTV from 10 to 6. And then I would go and do my radio. I would go and, do my radio station show from the graveyard shift, night to midnight. And then I used to write my column in between and my blog. And then I was working at Channel V doing digital content. And I still did my blog and did radio. And then my boyfriend at the time, who was really smart, he went to Yale and Harvard, and he's sitting right there, had gone and come back. And he told me how, blogging had become a really big thing internationally, and a lot of people are doing it. And I really, really loved writing. And I really was really surprised that so many people still read, like who reads anymore? But it was amazing that people would read and they would understand the turn of phrase, and something that I was really proud of and spent hours doing. And it was really cool that they got that. And he came back and said, it's become really big business, so why don't you try it? And for a year, he supported me while he was working in finance. And I just wrote the blog, and I said, I'm going to give myself 1 year to make this work. And it just slowly took off, and more and more people started reading it, and I think it was just the right time. And it really started with me sitting on my sofa, writing blogs in my pajamas, and then week after week, month after month, it just got bigger and bigger. And I guess the hardest part about it is that people would still think, what's a blogger? And the funniest thing is my mom, bless her, is like 75 years old. So she thinks, for the longest time, thought I was an internet blocker. So she thought, she goes, mujhe kitna spam aata hai na? So celebrities must get even more. So Malini must block their spam. Internet blocker. So now she finally gets it though. So, and then nobody was doing it, and it was really hard to explain to people what I do and how it makes sense for them to use the internet to communicate with people, but I think they really get it now. And I think everything that I'd done in my life, job-wise, had trained me, because I learned Photoshop at MTV because I'm a huge nerd, and HTML, and doing video and audio, and all these skills I had picked up. I finally found a place that I could do them all together. But I guess the craziest thing is really, how it just became something like, I still can't believe I'm standing here in front of you. And I think the reason I really did this blog, and I think I always tell a lot of young bloggers who say I should start a blog, I was like, the most important thing is be passionate, right? Find the gap. What is your blog about? What are you bringing to the table? And for me, it was when I was actually in the 5th grade, this one person came up to me and said, "Oh, you're Indian. Do you have an elephant?" And I was like, it would be amazing to have an elephant, but I don't. Like, that's not how you live in India. And I thought that people, they look at India and they see villages and Slumdog Millionaire, but nobody sees the India that we live in. There's enterprise and culture and Bollywood and glamour and luxury. And even though, yes, the poverty exists and we shouldn't, disacknowledge that, but there's so much more. And we have our little icons, we have our Chota Bheems and stuff, but we don't have, something that represents us as young, modern India. And that's why I created the anime, if you've seen it. One, she's gonna age a lot better than I will. And two is that she represents, the young Indian who's gonna dance at their best friend's wedding, but also loves travel and luxury and all of those things. And what's amazing to me, standing here right now, is thinking that we live in a generation that anything you want to do, you can do for the rest of your life. That's what you can make your job, right? So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to just turn to both people who are on either side of you and say hello. Just smile and say hello. Yeah? Okay, now you all know each other. This is gonna be really important in a second, okay? So I wanted to show you a little video about what I do now, and just, it makes me wonder like how I got from point A to point B, and now there's like 3 million, actually 3.5, 4 million unique visitors come to my blog every day. That's 4 million people who choose to read me, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. And thank you, all of those of the 4 million that happen to be in this room. Tweet me, I'll tweet you back. So I just wanted to show you a little video of what I do in case you don't know.
You're watching Miss Malini.
Miss Malini.
Miss Malini.
Miss Malini's Miss Malini.
Miss Malini's world.
Hi, I'm Miss Malini.
I'm Anushka and I'm the pocket stylist.
Hi, I'm Mike Melly.
Hi, I'm Rashmi. I'm the Bollywood blogger.
Hey guys, I'm Surili.
I'm Marvin.
And together we are on
Bad Road.
Hope you're ready for madness, fun, fashion, and Bollywood celebrities with me. We are just moments away from the trailer launch of Happy New Year.
Bang! Bang, baby!
Have you ever Googled yourself?
Yes, I have.
What did you find?
Some very ugly pictures.
Imran Hashmi had an interview and they said, why don't you write a book about kissing? And I am supposed to tweet him now. Should I send it? Sending it and sent.
Okay, she's a stalker. I'm not.
You know what you're doing is you're giving love while you're talking to us. It feels great.
This is my dream, to play charades with Shah Rukh Khan, Abhishek Bachchan, and it just happened.
I love MissMalini.com. I follow it. Tell them who you love the most.
All the Miss Malini fans. And you. And you.
I'm leaving.
No.
When I have to confirm a gossip, like is it genuine or not, Miss Malini is where I go to.
So keep watching Miss Malini, empower her because she makes a lot of sense. And trust me, very few people do.
Miss Malini's world. That's the world.
Woo, that's amazing.
I'm walking the ramp for Priyanka Daryapuri.
Everybody who watches Miss Malini knows that they're going to be seeing new things, they're going to see trendy things.
Nothing is more attractive on a woman than confidence.
Just wear what you feel like wearing. If you feel like you don't want to wear one color, wear lots. Be a rainbow.
The city was beautiful. There's such beautiful architecture everywhere.
Music always been in my DNA because I play so many instruments. We run this segment called Chomp.
I've planned a simple DIY for you guys. We are recycling crown caps.
At Be Blunt, we believe the only person that you need to look like is you. I'm a born Maybelline girl.
It looked like a really fun place to be in.
You get to win some fantastic handcrafted bling by Tribe by Amrapali.
It's the sparkly new Guess watch, and all you have to do is hashtag MMWorld and tag a female friend on Twitter.
ThisMalini.com is about everything we love. So, thank you. So, this is what I do, and I actually do it for everyone who loves, whether it's Bollywood or fashion or lifestyle or anything that is your passion. And every day I strive to, grow that audience and bring them things that they are interested in all in one place. And it's super satisfying, and I'm so grateful to be here. And now, the reason I introduce you to each other is this. People always ask me, what should they do? And I always tell them this one sentence. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is how to love and be loved in return. It's from Moulin Rouge, I didn't write it. And whether it's love in a relationship or love your work or love where you live, it's love, right? So I want you to close your eyes now for a moment. Close your eyes, please. And think about what is the one thing you would do for the rest of your life if nobody paid you to do it. Now that's what you should be doing for a living. Now since you're no longer strangers and you know each other, I want you to turn to both the people on either side of you and tell them, I am going to do this, or I'm going to be this. Please do that now. Come on, you can do it. A lot of people are like high-fiving. Yeah, me too. So the most important part of this is really to, do what you love. We live in an amazing time. You can do anything, especially ladies. Make any dream your reality. And it doesn't matter if right now at the beginning you're not getting paid to do it. Eventually, if it's your passion and you're good at it, you can live that world just like I am. Thank you.